It's becoming a disturbing trend. Fraud allegations swirling around the glitz and glamour of the Real Housewives franchise. But why does it seem like these reality stars think they're untouchable? Is it the allure of fame, the pressure to maintain a lavish lifestyle, or something deeper? On October 9th, Wendy Osefo, a 41-year-old star from the Real Housewives of Potomac, and her husband Eddie Osefo, also 41 and an attorney, found themselves in hot water, facing arrest for alleged insurance fraud. This isn't an isolated incident. In fact, within the sprawling Real Housewives universe, accusations of financial impropriety have become a surprisingly common plot point. Angela Angotti, an entertainment attorney and co-host of the Bravo Docket podcast, offered a compelling perspective to Page 6, suggesting that the very personalities drawn to reality television might share a similar optimism bias with individuals who believe they can outsmart the law. But here's where it gets controversial. Does reality TV attract a certain type of personality prone to risky behavior? Or does the experience itself warp their perception of reality? The Osefos' case centers around a reported burglary at their Maryland home in 2024 while they were supposedly on vacation. They claimed a staggering $450,000 worth of designer bags, jewelry, and other valuables were stolen. However, police investigations paint a different picture, alleging the claims were fabricated. Some items reported as stolen were allegedly returned for refunds, and social media photos even showed Wendy sporting a ring she had declared missing. This echoes other high-profile cases. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah, 52, had her arrest dramatically captured on camera in 2021 and is currently serving a 6.5-year prison sentence for orchestrating a nationwide telemarketing scheme that preyed on vulnerable individuals. And who could forget Teresa Giudice, 53, of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, who spent 11 months behind bars starting in 2015 for bankruptcy fraud. Her ex-husband, Joe Giudice, also 53, followed suit, serving 3 years in prison from 2016 to 2019 for fraud and tax offenses before their divorce in 2020. These cases highlight the very real consequences of financial crimes, even for those in the spotlight. Even when not resulting in criminal charges, the specter of fraud has haunted other housewives. Erika Jayne, 54, from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Vicki Gunvalson, 63, from the Real Housewives of Orange County, have both faced fraud accusations in civil lawsuits, although those cases were later dismissed. Furthermore, numerous other housewives stars have been arrested for various offenses, ranging from assault to driving under the influence, demonstrating that the pressures of fame can manifest in different ways. Angotti argues that the reality TV experience can cultivate a sense of invincibility even before the cameras start rolling. Consider the contracts these stars sign. They essentially relinquish control over how they're portrayed, a decision that requires a certain level of confidence, or perhaps naivete. To sign that, you have to think, well, that's not going to happen to me, or the audience is going to like me, or whatever, Angotti explained. And then you're constantly like, is someone looking at me? Are they paying attention to me? Do I have nicer things than this other person? I think it's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses. But then it becomes harder and harder and harder. The pressure to maintain a certain image, to outshine their co-stars, and become overwhelming. The Real Housewives has always showcased women with aspirational lifestyles, but Angotti notes that displays of wealth have escalated dramatically over time. There wasn't always this merry-go-round of stylists and glam squads and everything else, she points out. Back in 2006, when The Real Housewives of Orange County launched the franchise, the show featured a mix of struggling single mothers and more affluent women. But the arrival of Erika Jayne on Beverly Hills in 2015 ushered in a new era of conspicuous consumption. She famously traveled with her own glam squad and claimed to spend a jaw-dropping $40,000 per month on hair, makeup, and clothing in 2020. Jayne filed for divorce from her husband, high-profile attorney Tom Girardi, 86, after 21 years of marriage. The following month, she was named in a fraud lawsuit against Girardi. while a judge ruled in 2022 that she had no knowledge of her estranged husband's dealings, the scandal undoubtedly impacted her public image. Earlier this year, in a separate case, Girardi was sentenced to 7 years and 3 months for embezzling millions from clients. He's currently serving his sentence at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles, and their divorce remains unresolved. The Jane Girardi saga, while deeply troubling, has undeniably provided compelling television. Jane remains one of the longest-running cast members on Beverly Hills, second only to Kyle Richards, 56. And this is the part most people miss. The show's producers are acutely aware of the audience's appetite for drama. Even when that drama involves serious legal issues, they're shooting the good, the bad, the sad, a source close to Bravo told Page 6. It's what's happening in everyday lives, whether it's marriage, divorce, addiction, things with their children, and unfortunately, things that are illegal. The line between reality and entertainment blurs, and sometimes the consequences are severe. On Bravo, a criminal charge doesn't necessarily spell the end of a career. Jen Shah remained on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City for an entire season after her arrest, maintaining her innocence for over a year before finally pleading guilty. The Real Housewives of New Jersey famously chronicled the Giudices' years-long legal battles, prison sentences, and post-prison lives. After her 11-month incarceration, Teresa wrote a tell-all memoir about her experience, which she infamously referred to as Camp, and returned to the show, where she remains a popular cast member. Another source familiar with the network suggests that viewers are often drawn to stories of redemption. What we've kind of seen is people are generally more open to forgiving when there's an ownership of whatever it was, the source said. Whether it was a misunderstanding, whether it was a misstep, we're always pleasantly surprised when you stand on something face on. You can begin to repair. But does this forgiveness extend to all crimes? Or are there certain lines that once crossed cannot be uncrossed? However, not every housewife gets a happy ending after serving time. Page 6 recently reported that Shah will be released from prison early in August 2026. But Andy Cohen, executive producer and host of Watch What Happens Live, stated in a behind-the-scenes clip that he never wanted to see her again. This highlights the complex relationship between the network, the stars, and the audience. Bravo has also yet to announce whether Karen Huger, 62, a Real Housewives of Potomac star known as reality TV's Grand Dame, will return after a 6-month stint behind bars for driving under the influence and crashing her Maserati into a street sign in March 2024. This case underscores the broader question of accountability and whether certain actions should disqualify someone from participating in reality television. In the early days of Housewives, Bravo appeared to take a stricter stance. In 2009, Mikhail Salahi, then a cast member on the first season of The Real Housewives of D.C., and her husband, Tarek, infamously snuck into a White House state dinner, posing for photos with President Barack Obama and other celebrities. While the Salahis avoided criminal charges, Bravo canceled Real Housewives of D.C. after only 1 season, citing the stink associated with the Salahis, according to Cohen. This demonstrates a significant shift in the network's tolerance for controversial behavior over time. Outside of the Bravoverse, other reality stars have also faced legal consequences for fraud. Jersey Shore star Michael Sorrentino, 43, known as The Situation, was sentenced to 8 months in prison for tax evasion in 2018. And in 2022, Todd Chrisley, 56, and Julie Chrisley, 52, stars of the USA Network reality series Chrisley Knows Best, were convicted of bank fraud and tax evasion and sentenced to 12 and 7 years, respectively. However, the Chrisleys were released years early in May 2025 after President Trump pardoned them. I find it fascinating that anybody would go on reality TV if they knew that they were committing any kind of crime, the source close to Bravo said. You're actually putting your life out there. It makes no sense. The act of knowingly committing a crime while simultaneously inviting cameras into your life seems like a recipe for disaster. As for Wendy Osefo, her future remains uncertain. It's in the hands of the law right now, the source close to Bravo said. So, we'll see how that unfolds. When Wendy, the mother of three and a political commentator with a PhD, joined Potomac in season 5, she and Eddie were portrayed as grounded professionals who valued education, integrity, and family. There's even a scene where Wendy sits her children down and says, "What's important is what you do when no one's looking," Angotti said. They really led with responsibility and following a civic duty. But by the next season, fans noticed a transformation. Wendy came back as a totally different person. CZ Alvarez, co-host of the Bravo docket, said, "It wasn't just her cosmetic enhancements. The family moved to a more expensive neighborhood. Wendy upgraded her wardrobe and underwent a really huge personality shift," Alvarez said. "You could tell she was trying to portray herself as someone she wasn't." In their fraud investigation, law enforcement said they found that the Osefos were burdened by substantial debt. "I've been running over it in my head just trying to figure out, how could these two smart people so poorly execute a crime?" Angotti said. The apparent lack of sophistication in the alleged scheme raises questions about the Osefos' motivations and their understanding of the risks involved. The fallout has been swift. Wendy has resigned from her teaching position at Wesleyan University, and Bravo has postponed another show she was slated to appear in. Lawyers suggest that Eddie could lose his law license, a devastating blow to his career. A rep for the Osefos told Page 6 the day after the arrest that the couple was back home safely with their family and in good spirits. The rep noted that the couple are grateful for the support they've received from fans and eager to have their day in court. They added, "At this time, they respectfully ask for privacy as they focus on their family and the legal process ahead." Ultimately, the prevalence of fraud accusations within the Real Housewives franchise raises fundamental questions about the pursuit of fame, the pressures of wealth, and the potential for reality television to distort one's perception of reality. What do you think is the primary driver behind these alleged crimes? Is it pure greed, a desperate attempt to maintain a lavish lifestyle, or something else entirely? And do you believe that Bravo has a responsibility to hold its stars accountable for their actions, even if those actions generate lucrative ratings? Share your thoughts in the comments below.